Is British slang something that you should spend time learning, or is it something that you don't need to worry about? Well, let's talk about it. Hey up mate, and cheers for finding this video today. I appreciate that. If you're new around here, my name is Dan. I'm a British English teacher and I'm here to help you feel confident when communicating in English. Now, British slang is a topic that comes up a lot with people I work with. They get overwhelmed by the different words and expressions that British people use, and they find it difficult to keep up in conversations. But they also tell me that they don't really care about using British English, so they don't see why they should learn it. Well, today, I'm going to tell you why you should probably learn some British English slang and how it's going to help you communicate with British people. So let's jump in. And this is a really common question. Now, a lot of people ask me, like, Dan, do I really need to learn British slang? Some teachers will tell you that you shouldn't learn British slang. It's for common working class people. It will make you sound unintelligent. Some people say that. And some people believe that. Even British people, some British people believe that using some expressions makes you seem unintelligent. Some people swear by it. I do. I think you should definitely learn British slang because it's interesting. We'll talk about all the reasons why in a bit. But should you personally learn British slang? Well, the answer is maybe. Maybe. It depends, doesn't it? So there are some situations where maybe you don't need to learn British slang, right? So, in my opinion, you don't need to learn British slang if the following things are true. If you are never, ever going to speak to British people, you're never in your life going to speak to a British person, fair enough. If you never watch British TV shows or movies, you just watch American shows, you never watch British shows, okay. If you don't need to contact or work with any UK companies, if your company that you work for in your country never deals with British companies and you never have to communicate with a British person through work, fair enough. And if you don't like UK stuff, like you don't like UK bands and podcasts and YouTubers and books and audio books and, whatever else, if you don't like any of that stuff, if all of that stuff is true for you, you never speak to British people, you never watch British TV shows, you never need to work with UK companies, and you don't like any British things, then yeah, mate, this is probably not for you. You probably don't need any British slang, and I give you permission to not bother learning that stuff. You can go back to learning whatever you were learning before. Everybody else probably needs to spend at least a little bit of time learning British slang, right? And British slang is very important. And the reason that it's very important, there's a few, right? The first is British people use it. Whether you think it's good or not, whether you want to use it or not, whether you think it makes people seem unintelligent or not, all of that is irrelevant. The fact is, it exists. People will use it. And that's a good reason to try and understand. You can't control what other people do, but you can control how you react to it. And if you want to be able to communicate with British people, and if you move to the UK, you want to feel like you're part of your community and you want to connect with the people around you, you need to know these words because other people are going to use them. Simple as, So yeah, British people love to use slang, and that's a good reason to learn it. It will help you connect with Brits. Now, one thing, because I work with a lot of people that move to the UK, obviously. And when they get really excited when they learn a British slang word and somebody says it to them and they understand, they feel like a connection. Even more so if they can use certain slang words with British people. Because, like when you speak to somebody who's learning your language and they're very academic and they're very textbook, you're like, oh, they're doing a good job. But then they say a word to you that they haven't learned from a textbook. You're usually a bit impressed, like, how did you learn that? Where did you learn that word? And I think that's kind of fun. It helps you build a connection. It helps you, me personally, if somebody who's learning English starts using like slang words with me, I feel like, wow, these guys are really getting deep. They're really trying to use my language. They're not just listening to like the textbooks. They're going into like real life English. And I think that's kind of cool. And it will help you connect with British people. You know, the whole point of slang, like if you boil it down, slang is basically a code for people that are part of the group. People inside the group know what the code means and people outside the group don't. So if you want to be part of the group, you better understand what the code means, right? And that's basically what's going on. So slang. It's often tied to culture as well. Like, it's more than just words. It's often tied to historical and cultural aspects. There'll be certain words and expressions that have got a historical meaning, or they'll be linked to the local culture. And it helps you get a deeper understanding of the history and the people of that area and the culture that they have. So it's not just learning little silly words. It's also interesting to learn why they're used and how they're used and how that's related to the culture. It gives you a deeper understanding, which is sometimes nice. And like I said earlier, it helps you fit in. You know, if you don't want to be excluded, you kind of need to know the rules of the group, you know. And if you're spending time and effort learning slang, and even if you don't use it, you're just good at understanding it and it helps you navigate conversations with people around you, you'll feel more like you're part of the group. And it helps you fit in, because God knows it can be bloody miserable if you're not part of your community and you feel lonely and isolated. This will help, okay? So that's why I think slang is important. Now, learning slang is kind of a tricky topic, to be honest, because, yeah, like, how can I put this in a nice way? Slang is not something you should spend 24 hours a day learning. This is something that after you took care of your immediate needs, you know, you can communicate in daily life situations relatively comfortably. You know, you can, ask somebody for directions and you're not going to be completely baffled. Once you've got to that point where you can survive, let's say you've mastered survival daily life English, so you're not going to starve to death or get lost, then maybe we can start spending a bit of time learning slang. But I wouldn't necessarily suggest going overboard. This is what I would suggest. Learn it in small chunks. So this could be learning a handful of words a week or a month. Maybe 5 words a week or something. That should be more than enough. And make sure that you're not just learning random stuff. Like if you're never going to go to Scotland, for example, maybe learning Scottish slang is not for you. Especially if you're going to be living in, Brighton or something on the south coast and you're never going to go that far north, don't bother learning that slang. Probably not going to be that useful. So learn it in small chunks. Learn the stuff that's relevant to where you are. And kind of try and learn it in little bits and pick it up as you go. You don't need to learn 5,000 expressions. You know what I mean? Try and pick it up in conversations as well. This is another tip. So whether it's people that you're talking to when they say a weird word that you're not sure, go and look it up, because that's probably something you need to know. Or, if you're listening to podcasts, audiobooks, YouTubers, TV shows, and these words come up, pick them up as you go along. You don't need to go out of your way. Just kind of pick it up as you go along. So yeah, like I said, TV shows, whatever. I think especially drama shows are pretty good for it. Things like EastEnders, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, or even like, Top Boy and stuff like this, Derry Girls, they're pretty good for picking up regional dialect words. And if you're going to be living in a specific area, look up lists of really common slang words. Like if you're going to live in Manchester, look up Manchester slang online and see what comes up. And then just pick up a few words a week and just to prepare yourself. And if all else fails, I've got something that might help you out. It's called the British Slang Challenge. It's a mini course that I made that's designed to help you pick up 150 of the most common British slang expressions. So there's 7 units in this course, right? And in this course, it follows the story of Erica. She's a woman from Brazil. She moves to the UK and she sends emails back to her friends and family back home about her new life in the UK. So part of this story is she learns and uses different British slang words. So you get to learn them in context. It's not just random lists of words. They're in context. They're a part of a story, so you can easily connect the meaning to the situation, okay? And not only that, we've got listening exercises, there's shadowing exercises, there's explanation videos, there's workbooks, there's quizzes, and there's like 20 odd videos in there. And it's designed to make sure that you can understand, recognize, and eventually use these British slang expressions if you want. I tried to make it as simple and as useful as possible. I haven't used that much regional slang. It's kind of slang that's used all over the UK. And yeah, like I said, it is a course that I offer that, you know, maybe you'd be interested in trying out. Now, it is available right now for $49 for, you know, everything, the quizzes, the videos, everything you need. It's a self-study course. You can go at your own pace, $49, and the link is in the description. So check it out if you need a hand learning some more British slang. And now it's over to you. What is the weirdest British slang word you've ever heard? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to learn even more about British slang, you can go down to the description and you can get my free British English Made Easy guide. It's got 50 essential expressions that you can use to understand British people totally for free. The link is in the description. And if you want to know why you find it difficult to understand native speakers because it's not just slang, I suggest you check out this video next.